Uh,
Live streaming is
oh,
on.
there we go. That's a new one. All right, so welcome to Cardano Builders, check-in number 8. We are current and future builders on and off Cardano. We are here to inform, celebrate wins, keep each other accountable, and provide support and actionable advice. We do that in the form of a check-in, which has a couple of pretty easy components. So we have several prompts. First, a project introduces itself with a 30 seconds or so pitch, right? Try to keep it concise. And even though we have a lot of repeat builders join the session, it's good practice to repeat in 30 seconds or less what it is that we are building, right? And then we go into three prompts, essentially. Essentially, we're trying to answer three questions, right? What have you accomplished recently? What's next? And also, what do you need help with, right? And and often there's many things that we need help with. Yeah, try to identify one if possible. Um, then it follows, of course, a discussion, right? So every project, let's try to stick with 10 minutes for a focused discussion on a particular project, and then we move on to the next project, right? Also, everything that you hear, treat the information as confidential. Of course, as I was mentioning pre-recording, pre-streaming, uh, always in these check-ins, we have a first project where there's a public discussion, so that information is not really confidential, right? But other than that, you know, ask for permission if you hear something that you hear that you think might help someone else and you would like to share that information. So ask for permission. If you get the permission, then of course share it. Also, there's a Discord server where we can have nice follow-up discussions that happened last week as well. And that's essentially the format. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and go right into my update this week for Mediators AI. So what is Mediators AI? Mediators AI is a platform where we help disputing parties find a mediator and come to a solution with the help of a mediator within just 7 days, which is significantly shorter than the traditional mediation system. So, what have we accomplished recently? We had our first mediations on the platform. Currently, we average actually less than 4 days in the average turnaround time, which is quite nice, right? So that means from the time party A, so the claimant initiates a mediation request, to the start of the actual mediation, it took 3.6 days on average so far. And then the mediation session itself is taking 4 hours or up to 4 hours, right? If a dispute is solved, let's say within an hour or so, right? That's fine too, of course. But those mediations are blocked to 4 hours. Um, so what's next? We There were some bugs that surfaced, quite a few actually. Um, Overall, the process seemed to be pretty good for the users, but there's a lot of manual fixes that had to happen on the back end side of things, and we try obviously to automate that before we, have any significant like marketing efforts, and we can get a bunch of users, because that would mean that my days are spent in a live database in production and fixing data manually. That is obviously would not be great, and that is something that I want to avoid. So we have to fix certainly some bugs, and um, what we need help with is actually that we try to target a specific group for a kind of spin-off service that primarily targets or works towards talent retention at corporations, right? So it's adjacent to mediation. Mediation can be and will be certainly an important component for that, but it should stand on its own feet. There are a couple of things that I think are required in kind of like a corporate setting versus if it's more or less just two individuals that might be under the umbrella of one organization or not, right? And for that, we are trying to seek some input from HR professionals, but also possibly directors, executives that actually know how costly team disputes and subsequent often departures of their talent, of their employees, etc. is. So we seek those conversations. We had a couple of those starting last week, and they've been really insightful. But we would like to continue doing that. So that's my ask to you. And with that, let's go into some questions if anyone has any for me. Let me actually. So this is the format. Let me actually stop the live stream right now, and then we go into the beat and the nice things.